Fifth Hour Radio Show.
All right, so John, tell us where you're originally from and how you got involved with all this scary stuff. This type of entertainment.
Well, I'm from Chicago. I was born and raised Chicago, in the south suburbs of Chicago. And I always liked haunted houses as a kid. I was one of those kids that loved going to the Park District and seeing the JC's haunts or the different volunteer haunts. And I got into the business of it when I was a theater student down at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. And I proposed it as a fundraiser for our theater department to get together and put on a haunted house in the mall and raise some money for the theater department to send its students on a trip. And, we did that for 2 weeks, me and a bunch of the crew, and we had a real good time doing it. We raised a bunch of money and thought this might be a good idea for a business.
So do you consider that, your one defining moment, that the light bulb went off and said, hey, man, this is me, this is what I want to do? Or was it really something else?
Well, I got into theater because I like telling stories, whether it's theater or film or, the haunted house. But I definitely had that light bulb moment when, there were about 26 of us all got together to do it. And the 26 of us produced a really fun show. We did it together. We had a great time doing it. And at the end, there was money, which was a great motivator to keep doing it. Especially as theater students, it's not like we have a great outlook for a lot of financial income as a stage actor or a stage costumer. It seemed to be within our wheelhouse and within our education, and something we really dug. It was a blast, to get together with a bunch of friends, build some fun sets, and then jump in costume and scare people or entertain people or, make them laugh and be able to earn money doing that. It was a great time.
So you spoke about Southern Illinois University and your major. How much of that has helped you with what you're doing now? I mean, has it really helped you out a lot, or is there a lot of just your own personal things that you've learned through life and helping you out with this?
It's definitely a mix of both. It's getting experiences from, all different things you do in life. Definitely a lot of my, my dad bringing me to construction sites when I was a kid and, making me swing a hammer instead of going to summer camp definitely came as a great aid when I started the business. But, it's definitely my theater education that really makes me look at all different sorts of influences to try to bring it together to a show. I always look at these haunted houses as shows. It's an interactive experience, the show that you're walking through. And it was that training in theater where you learn to become a slave to the concept, and to pay attention to the details of the lighting and the sound and the makeup and, and the whole theater making, creating that show from beginning to end. That's definitely integral to everything we do. Anytime we're putting any one of these shows together, I definitely feel the theater background is the place that I start with. I start at that foundation.
What were some of your favorite horror movies growing up?
Oh, man. I tell you what, I have always stood by this. My favorite horror movie, and I still think the best horror movie out there, is Jaws. I still stand by that as being one of the scariest monsters ever to be in a movie. And Jaws got me good when I was a kid. That changed water. I was afraid of pools. It really did me in. But other ones, I really love Children of the Corn. That was another great one.
Oh,
I think
yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, and I hope that, when I'd spend summers with my dad, he was always out by, the sticks, the cornfields. And so that changed corn for me.
Yeah,
Jaws changing water, Children of the Corn changing corn. Yeah, those are some of my favorites.
Well, let me ask you, how do you feel about these reboots they're doing on some of these classic horror movies? They bring them back and they reboot them. Do you feel they're doing them justice, or?
God, it's tough on them. I mean, sometimes I like a good reboot, especially when you're rethinking it, or bringing new elements to it, for sure. I liked Rob Zombie's Halloween. I thought that was a great reboot. I thought that was a great example of what you could do when you reboot a film. But then there's a lot that I just think they reboot because they know they have a built-in audience. And, people are going to see it because they saw the other one, or, it's become part of the horror culture, so you go check it out. I do think that there are a lot of original ideas out there. There's a lot of filmmakers that are making great independent horror movies, and I really wish those guys would get, those budgets. Because, I mean, there are scripts out there that are just amazing in the horror world. I mean, I saw one just in a horror film festival we were in last year. I went and checked out a movie, Patrick Ray's Nail Biter.
Mm-hmm.
It was I thought one of the greatest horror movies I've seen in the movie theater. And it was an independent film festival. So there's great filmmakers out there making good horror movies. I'd like to see them while you're there.
So what was your first move into the industry? I know you're an actor, you're a director, you run haunted attractions. What was the one thing that kind of led into all the others?
That got me into the horror industry or the film industry?
Well, yeah, let's start with the horror industry.
Well, in the haunted house industry, it was very much coming out of college and, coming out of college with that idea that I wanted to start a theater company that did haunted houses.
Mm-hmm.
As part of their seasonal job. And it just evolved quick. We came out and we started with Statesville. We met a great partner down there, Paul Siegel, who was doing a haunted hayride and a really cool, little black maze haunt for, I think, about a year before we got there. And we got there, we were able to create our theater show and start over there and build our show up there. And that quickly took over everything we did. We just got into the horror world so quickly. Because we were, putting so much of our efforts into this haunted house that we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of just naturally segues into the film part. You end up meeting people, working on projects, and the next thing you know, you're on a film set going, well, this is, a blend of everything I love to do with the producing and building sets and building shows and also being an actor and auditioning. And, yeah, it just seemed like a really fun segue.
So what was your first film you done?
The first feature film I worked on in Chicago was The Art of Pain. Mm-hmm. It's Matt Brooken's film. And I went and auditioned as the bad guy, Marcus, and got the role, which was a lot of fun for me because it involved training as a ninja, fighting zombies, fighting ninjas, a live wolf, and riding a motorcycle with a cigar in my mouth. I read the script and I gotta do this.
This is all me. This is my part.
Yeah. It's this is everything I wanted to do. I was 13 years old and watching movies. I'm in. I was real fortunate that I got the part, and it was on that film that I was really curious as to the other side of it, the behind the camera side of it, because I was making short films with my friend Mike Bradish, and I wanted to know what did it take to produce a feature film. So I asked if I could hang out at one of the production meetings, which was directly after rehearsal. And they were nice enough to say, yeah, come on, sit at the table, no problem. And I listened to producers, argue about where they're getting money and how they still need these things and they still need those things. And, some of those things were 100 zombies. I was like, oh, geez, I know where I get 100 zombies. And then they followed up with a special effects crew and a makeup crew that could do something with those zombies. I'm like, well, geez, I got those two at the haunted house. And then it just kind of went into, well, they also need ninjas. I happen to know an actor that was a kung fu expert at a dojo. And, yeah, I jumped in right there at that first meeting and said, I can get all these things.
You have an eclectic group of friends.
Yeah. I'm like, is that what producing is? Because I can do that. So, yeah, producing is a lot more than that. And I learned as I got into it. Hey, that's what got me in.
Do you ever catch a lot of flack from your friends and family? Like, hey, what's John bringing to the Thanksgiving table? A stew pot full of brains and eyeballs? Or
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a theater guy that loves making movies and has the privilege to get to do haunted houses for my day job. But yeah, a lot you'll hear like, oh, what did he bring to Christmas? You better check the box first. And it's like, come on, guys. It's not horror 24/7.
So what's the story with the Zombie Army Productions? Is everything you do kind of all fall underneath that title?
Yeah, we started as Foundation Theater Group. That was right out of college, and as we evolved out of the theater scene and more into the live events, parties, film production, and mainly the haunted house company, that became so big. I mean, we're operating 3 haunted houses right now, 2 at one location and 1 at another. We've got the Fear Haunted House at Navy Pier and Statesville Haunted Prison and City of the Dead down in Crest Hill. And so, the horror part kind of took over our image. And so Zombie Army was, we looked at ourselves and decided we needed to come up with a new name. And the Zombie Army fit. I had a great crew that just kept working long after they should be expected to work. And the name just seemed appropriate. So that's how we came upon that. What was that, 5 years ago? We started being known as Zombie Army.
Now I got to ask you, do you think a zombie should run or should he lurk?
You know what? I don't believe in fast zombies. I get it, the whole infection thing, but man, I like the slower zombies.
I do too,
I guess
man.
I'm old school that way. Like old Romero, I love Night of the Living Dead zombies.
I just want to feel like I can at least get around them, because I don't run, and if they're running, I'm done.
You got to rethink your whole strategy. There's a lot of time
ridiculous.
that went into what you were going to do with the apocalypse. And
say a zombie apocalypse. If an apocalypse hit right now, what are you going to do? Yeah. It's happening right now as we're talking. What's your first? Obviously, the interview's over.
Oh yeah. I quickly hang up with you. Thank you for the interview and wish you luck. And then I would grab my bug out bag and head down to my brother's.
Now, do you got a bug out bag?
Oh yeah.
What's in? Can I ask you what kind of stuff you got in your bug out bag, man?
Sure. You know what? I got a bug out bag basically for any natural disaster that could happen at any moment. So that way, it's got your basic stuff for fire and for heat. And, you've got basic nutritional packs and camping equipment. And it's kind of a fun thing that we build for camping, that also we know that, hey, if the power goes out in Chicago because there's, 2 feet of snow, I got a bag that'll at least get me fire and take care of those things and have a first aid kit in it. And if it happens that there's a zombie plague, well, I got a bag that'll probably weigh me down as I try to escape. It'll probably end up being fast, blowing all of my plans, and I'll die quick.
Well, just a tip, and this comes from our friend Matt Moak, and he does some consulting on The Walking Dead or whatever, but he told us that duct tape is awesome to have. You can put it put it on a sweater and make like armor out of the sweater.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've seen that in The Walking Dead.
And duct tape, you can do anything with duct tape. You can make you can make your food carriers in duct tape, your water carriers in duct tape. Duct tape can do anything if you're caught out there.
Now you need duct tape and you need condoms, and you're good to go. Well, man, well, he also said you can put like food and stuff on your, your things that shouldn't get wet inside the condoms.
Yeah, if they're non-lubricated condoms, you could fill them with water, and you can carry a surprising amount of water in a condom. It really makes you respect the industry of condoms.
There you go. There you go.
Well done.
And you'd want to get the magnums too. You can hold more. So, man, let's talk about, we've segued there.
Wow.
Let's talk about Moleman of Belmont Avenue. How did that come about, man? I mean, what was it like working with Mr. England?
Oh, working with Robert England was, I guess it's probably everything everybody says it is, because he really is this great guy to have on set. Like, it was terrifying, of course, when it started. I was definitely a little, trying to catch my breath there. But no, Robert England was just a delight to have on set. The man is, not only was he hysterical, when it came to his delivery and his character, he showed up knowing more about his character than my writing partner and I knew about his character. And it was amazing. I mean, he knew what hat he wanted, what color the feather should be in the hat. It was great just to have an actor show up and be like, boom, this is what I do, and just nail it like that right out of the gates. But beyond that, beyond him being incredibly talented and wicked funny, and that's on set with some amazing improvisers, Robert England was right in there, just funny as hell the whole time. But afterwards, the talking to him and the advice that he just kind of, he dispenses because he's been in the industry so long, he knows so much, and he'll throw out little things, here and there about shots and shot selections or light, and it's just really neat to have that kind of guy on set that just cares so much about what he's doing.
Was that your first film that you directed also?
Yeah, we Mike Bradish and I. Mike Bradish is my friend from college. We started the Big Tree Productions company together out of college as well, doing little shorts. Him and I co-wrote, co-directed, co-produced. We were the co-idiots in the film, and he did a big chunk of the editing, as well as some of our great editors like Dustin. But and I did a lot of the set design and stuff like that. So this was our kind of, you know what, we liked being in other people's movies, and that was fun, but we'd really like to do our own. And, well, we had to do so many things because we didn't have any money, and we knew we would show up on set the next day.
Yeah, and you won some awards for that, right?
What's that?
You won some awards for that, right?
Yeah. It's we've been real lucky with it. You know, we won Best Picture, we won Best Directors. You know, we grabbed some really, you know, really great accolades that we didn't really see while we were making the movie. You know, we were just doing what we wanted to do, and you know, the response that we've gotten and the reviews that we've gotten are just, you know, it's really, really rewarding. It's really amazing to get that kind of feedback. So we're very excited, very grateful, and now it's out and it's on DVD, and now we're getting, you know, the other end of the feedback when it's in customers' hands and they watch it and they comment about it and they say stuff about it. Or, you know, God, if you're lucky enough, they quote it.
So how has that helped you with any upcoming projects that you might have? You got anything on the plate right now?
Yeah, we got a few projects we're working on right now. We're in pre-production for something called The Adventures of Kitty Zombie, featuring it's an actor and friend of mine, Jeff Graves. He, you know, plays this character, Kitty Zombie, through the haunt circuit. And we're developing this kind of a short film that is really like the first episode of what would be a series of a family-friendly Kitty Zombie movie. Mm-hmm. Where Kitty Zombie escapes a military scientist and finds refuge and friendships with a bunch of kids in the woods in their treehouse, and they protect them.
I know the Halloween season's got to be, you're like really swamped, you're really busy, but
yeah.
Outside of that, I mean, what do you do other than your work? I mean, what do you like to do? Any television shows, travel, stuff like that?
Well, I mean, I love doing theater when I can. That's, to me, one of my favorite ways to spend my time, whether it's being in classes or doing a stage show. But the one thing that kind of keeps me going all year is traveling. Every year I like to leave the country for like 4 or 5 weeks and just go backpacking. You know, nothing complex, just a backpack and, you know, 5 weeks out there somewhere.
Yeah, just getting away from it all.
Yeah, I love hiking. I love long trails. Like, give me a 15-mile hiking trail, and I am a happy person that day.
Let's talk about your websites. Talk about your social media. Where can people go as far as those type of things to get information about what you got going on and what you got coming up?
Well, you know, you can always go to zombiearmyproductions.com, and that shows all of our different projects right there on the homepage. So you can easily get to molemanmovie.com from there, or you can get to statesvillehauntedprison.com, which is, you know, the haunted house that we're working on right now, and we're going into our 4th weekend now. Or, you know, also Days of the Living Dead. If you ever want to see, I guess, the behind the scenes of everything that we just talked about, we have a web series called Days of the Living Dead. And you can go to daysoflivingdead.com, and it's, you know, 12 episodes per year. We release an episode every Thursday about behind the scenes of the haunt industry and Zombie Army Productions.
Well, man, I don't want to keep you on here any longer. Thank you for your time, John, man. I had a blast talking to you, man, and good luck with your films, your directing career, and with all your haunted attractions, man. I really appreciate you stopping by with us.
Thanks a lot, man. I had a real good time.
The 25th Hour Radio Show.